contenders for the national championship. We're going to talk about a myriad of teams here because I truly think there's probably somewhere in the range of 12 to 15 teams that could compete and win a national championship. But we got to start at the top and work our way down here. I want to start with the teams that I feel the most confident about, and that is Georgia and Ohio State. So I got to ask the question here. Is it Georgia and Ohio State versus the field? Because I think at this point in time, as we sit here in March, I think it's tough to make an argument that it's not. Because again, sitting here in March, I'm not predicting this is the national championship. I'm not predicting that they go undefeated and run the table. But I am saying if you look at what these teams are right now, again in March, which in March we focus on roster talent, focus on the coaching staff, they are the best set up for success. Like, I feel like I know the most about both these teams as we head into 2024. Now, college football has a ton of variables. Things can change. Things will change. That's why we love it. But still, look at what Georgia has in terms of certainties. They have certainties at a lot of major areas. Start at the top. Best coach in college football. Nick Saban's retired. Bada bing, bada boom. Kirby Smart's got the throne. Pretty straightforward. He's got 2 national titles in case you disagree. Arguably, I think, the best quarterback in college football. You can make a discussion for Quinn Ewers. You can make a discussion for a number of other guys across the board here. But I think for Carson Beck coming back in Mike Bobo's offense, going for year 2 of Beck and Bobo on the campaign trail, 70% of his passes completed last year. He gets a chance to get even better. That's dangerous. At the very least, you have a quarterback who is going to be equipped to take you to the SEC title and beyond that. Proven winning culture. The way Georgia does things in-house has proven. Like, it's proven that it gets the results. It's proven they can win. It's proven that for Georgia, as long as you buy into the way that we do things and you go 110% on Bloody Tuesday, you go 110% when it comes to what we do in the offseason, like, we're going to get you the results. And it's not just a coach speak thing. It's a reality when it comes to how they operate and what they do in the postseason. Men lie, women lie, trophies don't lie. Georgia's got a few trophies to go with what they have from a culture standpoint. Production, yes, they lose some guys on defense. There's no way around that. But you bring back Smile Munden. You have a couple of young linebackers in that room as well that I think were a reason why some of those guys left. And I'll just say this. At Georgia, replacing production in Athens is very different than replacing production anywhere else. Like, you have guys that graduated or leave for the NFL at a different spot, and maybe there's a question mark around who's stepping up next. I don't think there's a ton of question marks for these guys that are taking over on defense for Georgia. Yes, Will Muschamp steps back in his role. You got T-Rob, you got Glenn Schumann, you got Kirby Smart. As long as they're the ones overseeing the defense, you feel pretty confident. So that's Georgia. Now for Ohio State, you got a top 10 defense with everybody coming back, and then you sprinkle in the best player in the transfer portal, which is, of course, Caleb Downs. The defense is going to be awesome. They will be able to, in every single game, have a chance, I think, to match up well with pretty much everybody. I don't think we're stretching the truth in saying that. At quarterback, I think at the very least they upgraded. We'll see by how much. Will Howard, I think, again, I'll go back to what I was just saying. The upgrade of Will Howard and what he brings to the table here. More mobility, more experience. I'm not dunking on Kyle McCord. I hope Kyle McCord has a tremendous, tremendous college career and goes and balls the heck out into the ACC at Syracuse. I hope that for him. But Will Howard has played more games, has much more experience, brings the mobility element to the table there. I think that's an upgrade for you. And who's calling the show for you offensively? It's not Ryan Day anymore. Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly's your guy now that's running the show offensively. I think that's going to ultimately lead to a better offensive product for them. And then in terms of who they have at the skill positions, like talk about proven commodities, Travian Henderson, 1,000-yard back. He's been that for Ohio State. Quinshawn Judkins, beast in the SEC. He comes to Ohio State. Mecca Egbuka, he's proven he can be a guy for you. He's a big-time receiver when he's healthy. And then you add in Jeremiah Smith, which, who knows how good he could be, the top player in the class of 2024. Coming out and going to be a major force, I believe, as a true freshman for Ohio State. So all these things factored together, to go back to what I just said, I know the most about both of these teams in Georgia and Ohio State. But here's the other part of this. I think you look at their path to a national championship, and going to 12 teams, we talk a lot about, that's can help the Cinderella story of college football have a chance. It's going to help the little guys make a run at this thing. I don't know that it does. Because what you do is you widen the margin for error for a Georgia and Ohio State. Who did they used to have to go through? Ohio State comes down to that last game of the season. You got to beat Michigan. Ohio State can go 11-1, drop that game against Michigan, hang out for the Big Ten championship somewhere else, get ready for the college football playoff, be hot at the right time, go win a national title. That is much more of a opportunity now for Ohio State than it was last year in the 4-team model. Same thing for Georgia. Alabama, I think they're going to be good. How good, remains to be seen, but Nick Saban's not running the show out there anymore. Both Alabama and Michigan were previous boss levels they had to beat to get to where they wanted to go. You still want to beat those teams, don't get it twisted, but if you drop those games, and both those teams are question marks at this point, by the way, you can lose both those games and still have a chance to go win a national title. But here's the other part of this. The playoff schedule, I think, makes this very, very scary for the rest of college football. The conference championship weekend is December 7th. The first round of the college football playoff isn't until December 21st. So let's say Georgia and Ohio State both find their way to their conference title games and they lose. They got 2 weeks to get healthy. You give 2 weeks to Ryan Day and Chip Kelly and Kirby Smart to game plan. That favors them 10 times out of 10. I'm not saying it's a sure thing, but I do think it favors them in a massive way. The last thing I'll say here, the edge that both these teams come into the year with, I think can't be overlooked. Because, again, we're looking at roster, we're looking at talent, we're looking at coaching staff, but there is a reason why these teams have the guys back that could have gone to the NFL. And folks will be quick to say, well, NIL deals brought them back. Maybe it played a part. Maybe they didn't have the draft grade they wanted. I don't think that's irresponsible to assume it could be a factor. But when you look at, or hear rather, the way they talk about why they're back, you hear the words unfinished business. You hear the words we didn't do what we wanted to do last year. Ohio State, they got a whole bunch of guys that haven't beat Michigan in a minute. They want to get that done. Georgia, they feel like they should have won the national championship last year. They've been very transparent about that. So I'll just say this. Nothing more scary than a hungry dog. You got 2 hungry dogs, one in Columbus and one in Athens. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.